1946 was the last recorded eruptive event when lava was actually extruded onto the surface here.
And that's not that long ago.
Exactly. Normally when you talk about geological timescales,
wall up ahead.
yeah, you're talking about hundreds of thousands to millions of years.
Yeah.
But to actually have witnessed an eruption at this site is quite special. Not witnessed, I should say.
So to speak.
No, well, nobody was here. It was basically,
Right.
I believe, from earthquake monitoring stations that detected the earthquakes associated with the eruptions.
Yeah.
That really is a
tall guy.
a fissure as well. Just that big crack going down there.
Jeez. Could name it Carrie.
Carrie Fisher?
I'm not sorry.
I didn't even get that one. That was, yeah.
What's that black thing? Is that a sea cucumber?
Holothurium.
Holothurium.
Sea pickle. No, not really.
Pickle.
Because it looks a little bit old.
Is holothurian, what's a common name?
Well, they include sea cucumbers.
Sea cucumber.
Oh, I see.
Yep, but that's the fancy pants name.
Cool. Good to know.
Isn't a sea pickle a what's the pyrosome? Is that a sea pickle?
That's a pyrosome. That's a colonial tunicate. I remember we saw those a couple of years ago in Profusion on the ONC cruise.
Yeah, but I keep on
People call them sea pickles.
Sea
yeah.
pickles.
Oh, is that right? They do?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, you can, common names, you can call them whatever you want, really.
Yeah.
And the stalked crinoids are sea lilies, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
It's interesting, the change here. A little bit smoother, a little bit more sediment, and suddenly
Stick into the wall.
Yeah.
the biology's back.
Looks like it's like 40 meters away, though.
How deep are we now?
We're at 3,135.
Wow.
This is the deepest I've ever been with Herc.
Me too.
There you go.
Woo!
I'm going to putz out a bit further.
So just a quick shout out to Tim Burbank, our video engineer in Rhode Island, who's just back online, commenting on how rather nice all of this biology and terrain is looking. You'll probably see, Tim, the video logs from earlier when Sam was on watch and we first started this geotransect. That was really quite incredible. This is good. Earlier was really quite stunning. We were all in the lounge enjoying it. So have fun with the video highlights tonight. So as we were discussing just now, Hercules is currently at approximately 3,150 meters depth. It's often a common question as to what limits the maximum depth of the ROVs. In the case of Hercules, I believe you were telling me a day or so ago, Josh, it's actually the titanium electronic cylinder, is that right? That's the main limitation.
That and the foam, yeah.
Right.
All right, Josh, I'm gonna
And the amount of cable we have.
Yep, that's pretty true.
Yeah.
How much did we put on when the new cable was installed? 4 kilometers or a bit more?
There's 4,500 meters.
Okay.
Yeah.
coming up.
Are these tall ones bamboo corals? Stalked bamboo corals?
Oh, I don't know. Do
Anybody?
you want me to dive into the field guide?
A lot of times you need to zoom in on them really close, look at
Right.
the polyps to get a proper ID.
Yeah.
Coming up some more.
Even then, it's need
Just
people who really
generally
know what they're looking
speaking,
at. Yeah.
Sticking with the general common names here.
They look similar to ones I've seen before that people who know what they're talking about have said that they're bamboo
Yeah,
corals.
that's
So
what I
that's about as
was
close as
thinking.
I could make it.
That's what I was thinking.
With a safety factor in that.
With the safety factor. This is beautiful terrain.
Actually, it's quite funny, Sarah, if you ever get to look at the deep sea field guide. For example, when you look at corals or sponges, it's picture after picture like the ones we're taking with unidentified sponge next to it or unidentified coral.
Yeah.
Mainly because a lot of these creatures are maybe seen on a, for example, a geotransect like us, like we're doing right now. And as Josh pointed out, you either need to stop and take high resolution video close up or actually physically take a sample to make a true ID.
Yeah.
And most of the time our ops just doesn't let us do that.
There's a multi-branched sea lily on the left. I mean, more than 5.
Oh yeah?
That's
Stock
leaving
right
now.
now?
You are right. Look at that. There's a picture of bamboo coral.
Well, I could be right. Let's leave
Yeah,
it at that,
yeah.
maybe. But
You're not definitely
who
wrong,
knows?
put it that way.
There could be something else out there that's totally different and looks the same.
No, as far as, you know, using the deep ocean field guide, that's a pretty good association. I'd go with that. And just as we mentioned it, what looks like bamboo coral going in front of our eyes.
That's a bar I can aspire to, is not definitely wrong.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. That's basically what I'm aiming for here, Josh.
Not definitely wrong.
Well,
Pretty great. Calling it a fish, definitely wrong.
Exactly.
but it's, you know, because this is only my second ever cruise, so I remember before I did my ONC cruise, I was trying to learn all of this and study the deep ocean field guide, and it's truly humbling how little we know about some of the biology at these depths.
Definitely. Nav, how we doing?
Still on track.
Roger. And how's the weather outside? Is it still up in the 20s for the wind?
A little under 20 knots.
Roger.
So how many of you in the room got to see our visitors today, the fin whales that came to spend the day with the boat?
Yeah.
I did.
Yeah.
They were with us for several times. Like, yeah, I don't know if they left and came back or maybe they're different ones, but I think they were around multiple times throughout the day.
That was my impression, yeah.
Yeah. Really exciting.
Just watch out behind you there. The air off cam. It's
Roger.
pretty close.
So maybe now is a good time to give a refresher for those of you watching on Nautilus Live as to where we are and what we're doing. We are currently exploring with Argus and Hercules on the seafloor. We are quite deep in the Gorda Ridge feature right now. We're at about, we still going down? Is it 3,150 or getting to 3,200 meters?
We're
Came up a little bit there. 3130.
Okay, we're at 3,130 meters below
approaching
sea level.
another 50-meter wall.
Roger.
We are currently conducting a geotransect, which is a visual survey along an approximately straight track for a kilometer or so across the Gorda Ridge, trying to assess the, capture video images that would allow scientists ashore to assess quantitatively the sediment cover on the terrain here and get an estimate of its age.
Nah, that's a wall drop, yep. That you see there, yeah.
Gorda Ridge itself
Wall going up, ascent.
is formed at the
Where's-
junction of the Pacific and Gorda tectonic plates. This location is approximately
What does HIPAC say for that distance?
Come again?
What does HIPAC say for the distance to that wall? Ah, right there.
and this whole location in which we're operating is about 180 kilometers off the west coast of North America, just where Oregon meets California.
Do you see it at 60 meters?
50.
Precision pen, yes.
Similar to the previous one.
Roger.
And so we're about halfway through this move. Halfway to GT4.
That's correct.
But it's about an hour till we get there, maybe. Maybe a little bit more.
A little hour 20.
Yeah.
Starting to come up, Josh.
Hmm?
We're going to be approaching a tall feature pretty soon.
Okay.
So I'm coming up right now.
Ready.
Roger.
I don't think I've ever seen a sponge like that. It's like plastic looking.
I was just looking at them in the deep sea guide, and basically it says there's picture after picture of what's referred to as unknown demo sponge.
Ah.
Lots of these kind of flat, squat, blobby sponges.
Flat, squat, blobby sponges.
You can put that in the data log if you want, yeah.
Blobby.
Blobby is in the data log.
Cool.
Nicole, is it alright if I change my heading a little bit for this?
Sure, I think so.
Just want to face this wall a bit more.
Yeah. Square it up. Get a better view.
I don't know how busy Chris is going to be over the next couple of days, but it's going to be amazing to see this Norbit map when it's done.
Yeah, it will be. The other one came together pretty quickly, so hopefully this one does as well. I think he plans to have something by tomorrow afternoon.
Okay. So actually some of those kind of what we scientifically described as blobby sponges, almost like this sort of fluffy drooped material on the seafloor, they're actually glass sponges still.
You're still coming up, Josh.
Yeah, I think a lot of the sponges in the deep sea are made of silica.
Okay.
Look at that.
Oh wow.
Nice wall.
That's some pretty serious bouldering there. Oh, I can see it in the sonar. It's just, that's, yeah, solid.
Yep.
So a number of you are interested in Nautilus Live and following the depth as we go across here. You can actually read that straight off the Nautilus Live website. If you just look at the bottom of your video feed, you'll actually receive the Hercules depth. It changes between feet and meters. You'll see one for Hercules, one for Argus, and also for the water temperature as well. You also get a little report on the surface wind speed that we measure on board the ship. Just a couple of, I think that's a sea cucumber in our view, and then a really rather wonderful glass sponge just going down the right-hand side of the Hercules view there.
That's a big sea cucumber. It's purple.
So Nicole,
You ever seen them fly?
No.
Cool. You think I'm
The
joking?
Argus view
I do
is so
think you're
cool right
joking.
now.
yeah.
Everything's so
Man,
smooth.
You haven't lived.
I haven't lived? Wow. I thought I was living right now.
Live to see the day to see a flying sea cucumber.
Maybe if I'm lucky this time.
You think I'm joking?
They're kind
It's
of
the sort of
scary
thing that
looking.
you would say. I mean, sometimes little like red, pink blobs float around Herc. Is that what is that what that is?
No.
Those are jellyfish.
Yeah.
No,
These
I
things,
mean like they look
they
like
swim.
disturbed
They
cucumbers.
swim. They swim up in the water column.
That's cool.
Yeah.
But what we really need to know is, do sea pigs fly?
Oh yeah. Sea pigs definitely fly.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome. I've never thought about that before.
So could an alternate saying be when sea cucumbers fly, and it would be actually like indicating something's possible?
Well, you could say sea pigs if you like as well. That's another sea cucumber.
Sea cucumber.
Yep.
Just different
Perfect
than
then.
those purple ones. They're mostly see-through. If you like zoom in on them, you can just see right their whole guts and everything.
What makes them pig-like?
They look like little pigs.
They really do. I
Yeah.
was,
Really?
yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Pretty cool.
I
It's
don't
little
know if I've seen
appendages
one of
that like
those.
feed on the detritus on the seafloor.
Oh, funny.
And they oink if you touch them.
Well, then that is an amazing new phrase. Whoa, what's on the right?
I know it's some kind of,
Oh, it's just leaving.
maybe a starfish of some kind, sea star. Sorry, not
Or
starfish, a sea
giant
star.
anemone sort of thing. With those arms.
We'll never know.
We'll never know.
It lives on in
Dope.
our imagination.
Thanks, Jess.
Just have to watch the rerun on YouTube later.
So a short little telegram from Tim Burbank in Rhode Island. He's our one of our production engineers. can confirm flying cucumbers, : is nonsense.
Really? There you go.
Well, now I'm really confused. Josh claims he's seen them.
Oh,
Tim
can I have
says-
some backup in the room, please?
Oh, we've seen
Yeah,
them.
I've
Possible.
seen them, definitely.
Yes, definitely.
Just wait, we'll probably see one.
There must be highlights on Nautilus
Oh,
Live.
yeah.
And
Used to
Tim
see
has
them all the
probably
time.
made these very highlights.
Exactly.
See, this is what's confusing. But I believe you. I believe you. Don't worry.
We should give a shout out to Tim because he worked super hard over the off season putting together the new KVM system in the ship, and it's working awesome. So
Yeah, it
thanks
is.
for all the hard work. It's really
Woo.
good. Thank you.
Thanks, Tim.
Might need to come up a little bit there, Josh.
What's up?
Might need to come up a little bit there. I'm
On
still
it.
climbing.
Just getting my cool shots.
Sorry, I'm cramping your style.
Yeah. Come on, I gotta get some beauty shots.
True. That's true. Glamour. Now
So-
you have to share.
So yeah, Tim has retreated. Oh no, sorry, it happens. It just makes no sense when it does.
That's true.
Just makes no
Especially
sense.
because a lot of times they look like flying headless chickens.
Right.
I wasn't going to bring that up, but I thought of it.
Right,
Wow.
right, let's
It
just
is what
take it
they
up another
resemble.
level.
They're not just oblong blobs anymore.
They look,
They had these like,
They're chicken shaped.
yeah, without a head though. They have
but
no head.
they look like a raw chicken, like a whole chicken you get in a grocery
Oh my
store.
god! Just a plucked naked chicken.
Yes.
Yeah.
The naked
Purple.
I
And
really-
kind of
Chicken.
and translucent, so
Oh
you
my
could,
god!
or transparent, so you could see into them.
Oh my god! Now we really have
It's
to
the
see
stuff
one.
of horror movies, but it's real.
If we don't see one, my mind is going to make it up in my dreams when I sleep later.
Stuff of horror movies, Nicole.
I don't watch many of those, but
It's like the blob, right? The big giant blob that consumes everything.
maybe a B horror movie. Yeah, for sure. And now we've insulted sea cucumbers everywhere.
Oh no! Don't tell.
Yep, and actually Nautilus Live is coming to your rescue, Josh.
Yes.
There's folks who've seen those shots of the flying cucumbers from last season.
There you go.
There were some incredible ones in the Caribbean too. They were
Yeah.
all over the place there.
They seemed like they were like all over. Like you just sort of like, oh yeah, there's another one.
Were they all flying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
At least at the surface, it's quite interesting when you pick them up. But they're much tougher than you'd expect by looking at them. They're quite rigid creatures. Supposedly, that's probably because I've just picked one up. But
We've sampled them before.
right,
Yeah.
Yeah, they're pretty squishy.
I guess I would be as well if you put me through the suction system on Hercules.
Josh decides what fits through the suction system.
Oh, that decides for itself.
Well, most of the time,
It doesn't
yes.
go in the nozzle. It doesn't fit.
Yeah, you guys got smart about that. You made the
Yeah.
first hole smaller than
That's
all the
right.
rest of the tube.
Yes. Finally figured that one out.
The hard way.
Yeah, that's one of those low bar things.
Certain things turn just the right way, though, to get in, and then they
I
just
know,
lodge
right?
themselves.
Well, it has to. They have to travel, right? They go
Yeah.
all the way to the back. They go start at the front, go all the way to the back of the vehicle, come all the way back around again, then up through to the top. So they have a bit of a travel to get to the jar.
I remember last season we were vacuuming up a little crab,
Oh,
and
no.
it wouldn't go. It was like in the
Clinging
tube
to the
with
tube.
its
Yeah.
little claws hanging out, clinging for its dear life. And then it was just hanging out in the tube the whole time. And they had a long search to
It
get
crawled
it.
out onto
get
the
it out?
deck.
Yeah.
Did
As
it?
I recall. Yes,
Oh,
they
yeah.
found it on the deck afterwards.
It was a
Yes.
determined little buddy.
But it was a very special sample, as I recall. I mean,
Yeah.
we're very careful about that. So
Right.
Chris Kelly was a fantastic lead scientist because he had a list of just the things that would be interesting to researchers because they hadn't been sampled, so they could be described and, you know, studied.
Nicole, if it's okay with you, I'm going to turn my heading again.
Sure.
I guess I keep asking just because
No,
the
I
scientists
appreciate
want us
it.
a
Yeah,
constant heading.
I think like what you're doing is good where it's like long blocks of time between, so hopefully it's easy for Shannon to correlate between those turns.
That's a big coral up there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's a nice one.
So yes, Sarah, Bobby from Burbank, who's one of our regular Nautilus Live viewers, he remembers the stubborn crab as well.
Okay, I have been on Josh's side for a little while now. I believe you.
You believe me
I
now about the
believe you.
cucumber?
Huh?
You believe me about the cucumber?
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were referring to him as the stubborn crab. Sorry.
Yeah. That too.
Believe you about the crab.
It wasn't so much doubting whether sea cucumbers could fly about through the water so much as how Josh said it made it seem like he was pulling my leg.
You're still not quite sure, are you?
I'm totally sure.
It's that well-practiced dad delivery. I recognize it. You occasionally slip these things to our kids just to keep them, you know, skeptical.
Keep them skeptical.
But you're not like completely wrong. That's we know that.
Exactly.
So I just want to take a moment to say hi to Kadina Memorial School in South Australia. I guess it's, what must it be now? Thursday morning for you guys, starting your school day, I guess. Feel free to send us some questions on Nautilus Live. We'll see if we can get to them. It's actually great to have you guys waking up just as the rest of North America is heading off to sleep.
Oh, yeah. That's right. I guess it's almost 10.
Yep. So are we heading downslope again, Jess?
Yep.
Cool.
Down slope we go. Now, how's progress going on this? How far away we got?
We're about a little less than 400 meters to go.
Roger.
About 50 minutes.
Okay. So that looks like it's going to be a little bit of a climb. Towards the
Yeah.
end.
Pretty gradual.
Roger.
So thanks for the time check from New Zealand and Australia. I couldn't do my maths correctly. It's actually coming up to about 2:40 in the afternoon in Australia at the moment, depending upon which time zone you're in, and it's 20 to 5 in New Zealand. Thanks for your questions from Kadena. So we've actually been seeing quite an abundance of sea creatures on this geotransect this evening. We've seen a great variety of glass sponges. We've seen bamboo coral. We've seen sea lilies. And I'm just learning all these new sea creatures. I keep forgetting, Nicole. You're going to have to remind me what the formal name for a sea lily is. It's a crinoid?
Yep.
Okay, I finally got it. Thank you. We've seen sea cucumbers. These ones appear to be the non-flying variety.
So far.
Also seen a number of fish that the common name or for the type of fish is rat tail or Pacific grenadier. If you're watching on Hercules now, that's possibly a bamboo coral that you're just seeing stretching out from the center of the frame to the left. And that little pink slug-like creature, that's a sea cucumber on the rock there. I can't quite tell from the zoom whether that's something just to the right of it.
It's something. I think it might be a sponge.
Yeah, difficult to tell.
Yeah.
But there's what looks like a
Another
little...
kind of translucent, maybe sea cucumber on the to the left at the bottom.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Mayhaps.
And the cable of the IGT is just flying over a little piece of coral there. So certainly the life down here isn't necessarily abundant by, I guess, a relative standard of the life we're used to on the surface, but it's certainly very diverse down here. Hopefully plenty for you guys to research through the day, the occasional sea star and anemone. That's that white cup-like structure. That's probably a glass sponge that we're just losing from the Hercules field. Just over in the right of the Hercules view now is, I think that might be a stalked glass sponge there, just that lovely, almost like a deep sea flower on top of that extended stalk. Possibly another one off in the left of the Hercules view at the moment.
Looks like a bat. Upside down. Coming up.
I think I see what you're looking at. That's a really strange thing on the end of that stalk.
Yeah, pink bat.
And although we're giving shout-outs to the students at Kadena Memorial School in South Australia, I know we've still got plenty of you viewing us from North America, night owls watching us.
I can't think of a better thing to watch right before bed.
That's certainly what we're doing.
True.
Yep.
I want to turn a little bit too.
So it's not just the biology that's fascinating at these locations, the geology as well. I mean, you will probably never again see as much pillow lava in your life. Called pillow lava just really for that rounded texture that it has. If you're able to find on YouTube some videos of pillow lava eruptions, it's great to visualize it. Essentially, imagine extruding toothpaste from a tube, and that's pretty much what the pillow lava looks like as it erupts on the seafloor.
I love your analogies.
Oh yeah. I need to, maybe it's a good book idea for later on. Weird seafloor analogies.
I'd buy it.
So as we fly over the seafloor, as well as capturing these images, well, it's important to remember that these images, as well as being wonderful to look at, they also form the basis for quantitative analysis that scientists ashore will perform, looking essentially at the fraction of sediment cover over these pillow basalts, and essentially using that fraction of sediment cover as a proxy, if you like, for the age of this terrain.
What is that?
Pardon?
Oh, it's just a very strange structure.
Looks like the shadow in the hollow of that lava.
Oh, where it's possibly formed a little bubble and collapsed.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
It looked almost man-made for a minute.
Right.
Sorry.
That's okay.
Yeah, so like when that outside rind is cooling first, it's kind of glassy, and the inside might still be viscous and flowing. So when we see it kind of like breaking open on the rind and then kind of plunging out of it, you sometimes get these walls that are kind of hollow just at the top because the lava was flowing through and breaking open and forming more elongate pillow tubes.
So I know some of you guys were on the Loihi Seamount cruise last year and had time ashore. Did any of you get to the Big Island and have a chance to actually go into the lava tunnels at Kilauea?
I've done that separately.
Yeah, I've done that before with my family. They're huge and they go on for kilometers, yeah.
Yeah.
But exactly that same process, the outer skin cools and then the lava still flows through the tube and eventually evacuates it.
Hey, Nav. Would you mind increasing the gain on Herc, please?
Copy.
Just like 1 or 2 clicks. The blue's just kind of faint.
How do I select?
Yeah, so it's like this side button here.
Got it.
Oh, sorry. Now it should be selected onto it. And just like 1 or 2 clicks on the gain. Be great. Yeah, that's a lot better. Thank you.
Then can you go over to the Argus one and reduce it by 1 click? So you mouse over.
Yeah,
You have
the
to
little
move
red
the little
button.
mouse over. Then hit right click. Or sorry, yeah, now just hit minus gain 1. Yeah. Thanks.
That's the stuff.
Maybe one more.
Let's see how it looks. No, that's fine. That's good. Thanks.
Copy.
Sorry, would you mind doing 1 more click on Herc? Sorry.
Up.
Yeah, 1 more click up. Yeah, so it'll be easier to see. Thank you.
So hello once again to our friends in Kadina Memorial School, South Australia. To answer your question, this particular dive began at, I believe it began on schedule today at 4 a.m. Pacific time. And let me just look at my watch. It's just coming up to 10 p.m. Pacific time, so we've been in the water for about 16 hours. We're actually aiming for a 24-hour dive on this particular dive. The dive is going to continue through the night to 4 a.m. tomorrow morning. That will be Thursday morning Pacific time. We hope to have a quick turnaround once the ROVs are back on deck. If everything goes well, they'll be back in the water at 8 a.m. Pacific time tomorrow. In terms of the length of the cruise, the Nautilus has actually been on site here at Gorda Ridge for, I don't know, time flies. What is this, our 10th day or so on site?
It's just over a week now on site.
Okay. And that kind of marks the pattern of exploration that the Nautilus does throughout the summer. If you go to onnautiluslive.org and click on the link that says the expedition, you'll see a map first of all that shows all the sites that we're hoping to visit over this summer into October, really stretching out in a long arc across the Pacific from Gorda Ridge in the top right of that map all the way to American Samoa in the bottom left. And each of these cruises we do is typically about 2 to 3 weeks long. We're not on the ship all the time. Each crew will often fly out to meet the ship at a particular location and then join the ship for 2 to 3 weeks at a time. Some of us do 2 cruises back to back, even longer. Thanks also to the tip on Nautilus Live directing us to Mbari's deep sea guide that has visited Gorda Ridge before and actually has a number of new species included in that guide. I'm going to have to add that to my desktop.
Something swimming down there, wiggle style.
Well, we actually just got a great tip on Nautilus Live from somebody who was watching the dives in the California borderlands last year. And when Hercules actually looked inside some of those glass sponges last year, they actually saw there were hagfish living in them.
Yeah.
Some of the glass sponges have commensally little shrimp that live in them always, which is pretty cute.
Oh, yeah.
I can't say which ones exactly.
No,
if we've seen them, but
So apparently one of our Nautilus Live viewers has actually retweeted a picture from last October taken by Nautilus Live on Twitter. If you go and search hashtag Nautilus Live, there's a flying sea cucumber on it.
Is it still up for debate?
Yeah.
What? I think everything's taken with a big chunk of salt on this van, I think.
And just another quick update to Kadena Memorial School, asking if we've seen anything new. Well, we, and now you guys following on Nautilus Live, are seeing this terrain for the first time. So although there's a sonar bathymetry map, which means kind of a map that we create by bouncing sound waves off the seafloor of this particular region, nobody's ever seen it before with their eyes. And so our Hercules ROV is doing that for us and transmitting the pictures up our cable towards us on the Nautilus. But this is the first time anybody's ever seen this terrain, and so you guys are watching it for the first time with us.
Hey Alex, could you please zoom out on HiPAC a couple of clicks until we can see GT4 and 5?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So Shannon, right now we're sort of at the bottom or heading down between 2 ridges. Yeah, GT4 is at the top of one of the mounds.
Is that pink triangle?
Yep, and then, let's see, GT5 is...
Zoom out a little more. Right down here, where my cursor is.
Oh, okay. So what Shannon's interested in seeing are the flat areas that roughly fall we probably want to go a little bit further ahead, or we could cut sort of diagonal across almost at 270, but not quite, a little bit more south. Yeah, she wants to see
that way.
Yeah, and then we would cut towards GT5 after that.
So we're gonna skip this.
Yeah, she's more interested in seeing more of the flat area in between.
Okay.
So I think
like this area right
yeah,
here.
let's follow that and then head towards GT5.
Copy.
So sort of cutting that corner off a little bit.
Copy that.
Got a big sponge coming up, looks like.
Yeah.
Just for reference, Herc is kind of likened to be the size of a U-Haul trailer, right? So if you'll see an Argus compared to some of the sponges and things and rocks that lava bulges that we're passing, you can maybe get a little sense of the scale.
Oh, on the Argus view, you mean?
Yeah,
Yeah. There's a wonderful sponge there.
yeah.
Alex, why don't we wait for the vehicles to come down the other side of this feature?
Mm-hmm.
And
I was gonna
then-
say wait another 150 meters. and
Yeah,
then
that
start
sounds
cutting
great.
over.
Yep. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So thanks again to Kadina for more questions, and the quick answer is yes, we do see whales or sharks. We've actually enjoyed wonderful surface views today of what we think were a couple of fin whales that spent the day visiting the ship on occasion. And I believe you, Sarah, you said yesterday on our blue water section of the dive, you saw what species of shark?
I looked it up later, and I'm pretty sure it was a blue shark.
Okay.
So they're widely distributed and fit the bill. It was really pretty, though. Very, very blue, very reflective,
Uh-huh.
really skinny with and long. It was very cool.
Wonderful. So yeah, we do see whales and sharks.
Hey Nicole, if you look at it, the triangles.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that seems
Something
like
like
a
that?
good path.
Okay.
So I was just going to ask if Shannon is still at the Inner Space Center.
I sure am.
Is Ashley there with you, Shannon?
Yes, she is.
Could you tell her parents say hi? They're enjoying seeing what she works on.
That's awesome. Hi, Mom and Dad. Thanks for watching.
That's pretty great.
I'll tell you guys if we get a reply.
All right.
Herc, in about 100 meters, start heading at bearing 215.
Roger.
Start heading down that way.
Okay, sounds good.
So Nicole, looking ahead, what's on the dive plan once we complete this geotransect?
This pretty much wraps up tonight, so we're hoping to get some good views around this next bend in the transect along this terrace, and then we're going to start our ascent. So
Okay.
we're the last watch to get some bottom time tonight. We will fire Niskins near the surface. Well, let's 2,100 meters, I believe, off the seafloor.
Yeah, and then...
And then a couple at 150 meters.
Uh-huh.
And then a rapid turnaround.
Yep. So thanks for more of your questions from Kadina. It's great that we've got the time to go through them so thoroughly. And just to clarify for you, what you're seeing are the images from what we call remotely operated vehicles, Hercules and Argus. And these are basically remote controlled exploring machines operating on the seafloor. And we control them via a long cable that goes up through the water, about 3 kilometers through the water, and to the exploration vessel Nautilus. And all of these voices you can hear, with a couple of exceptions, are in the control van on this ship. A few of us are dialing in from the Inner Space Center in Rhode Island. And so we're actually flying these vehicles via remote control. So nobody's down there in a submarine. And then what happens is those remotely operated vehicles, they take these video images that then travel back up the cable, and we broadcast them via a satellite back to Rhode Island, and then they join the internet, and that's how you guys are watching them right now. So as for those of you watching on Nautilus Live, our watch leader Nicole just described what our next tasks are going to be. We're going to complete this visual geological survey along a heading going across the Gorda Ridge Marine Feature. Then once we get to our target location, that really marks the last major objective on the seafloor. At that point we will begin to ascend the vehicles through the water column, taking a couple of water samples at depth and one much closer to the surface. And then we'll go through the procedure of recovering the vehicles back onto the Nautilus. At that point, many of us will go to sleep and many others will wake up and respectively prep the ROVs for their next dive and take all of the various samples that we've obtained through this dive off the ROVs and begin to analyze them in the lab. So we really do have a 24-hour operation on the ship.
It got very angular.
Yeah, it certainly did. In terms of where we are in the world, we're currently exploring the Gorda Ridge, which marks the boundary between two tectonic plates on Earth's surface, the Pacific and the Gorda Plate. This boundary is at least on the world atlas, pretty close to the west coast of North America, just where California meets Oregon. If you have a chance to look at the map and see where California meets Oregon, go to the coast and then trace about 180 kilometers offshore, and that marks the approximate location of the exploration vessel Nautilus. And also I have the opportunity with Nautilus Live to ask a couple of questions. I was just wondering, Kadena Memorial School, are you guys elementary, middle or high school? You get the impression, looking at all this angular rubble, that we're at the bottom of something much bigger.
Yeah, it seems that we're kind of in the middle of two ridges on either side. Like bottom of a gully
right.
kind of thing.
So this is where all the rubble collects.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is kind of the center of like the spreading area, or one of them. So, at least, Shannon, you could correct me, but that's my interpretation looking at the map. Looks like the pull apart area.
It could be. We're definitely on what looks like an alluvial fan on the edge of the sides of some of those steep hills.
Yeah, it must have been some incredible forces that broke all the rock up into these little angular rubble pieces. Can we define alluvial fan?
I think we sure can. I think we've got some experts in the room or at the ISC. Did you hear that question, Shannon? What's an alluvial fan?
So an alluvial fan is when you get a whole bunch of materials that has sort of crumbled down the side and piled up at the bottom. We see them a lot in Idaho, where I live, where we've got our mountains and then these big fan-like shapes at the bottom of them where material has fallen down slope, carried by water a lot of times, and is sort of spread out into a spectacular gravel heap.
Wow. This is a spectacular gravel heap.
This is a spectacular basalt heap.
That's true. Specifically, yes.
Okay, Kadina's a senior school, turns out. So thanks for your questions, guys. And just to confirm, for a couple of you who've been asking on Nautilus Live, so far on this cruise, you're right, we have been diving pretty regularly at 4 AM, weather permitting. I believe the plan tomorrow morning is, weather permitting, to go for an 8 AM launch.
That's correct. Yep, vehicles on deck at 4, launch vehicles at 8, and then dive until midnight.
Okay.
So we'll get 2 watches in tomorrow.
Yep, another busy day.
We'll have a bit of blue water tomorrow, I think.
Right.
Hey Josh, you're calling a bearing change in about 20 meters?
Sure.
Bridge nav. Can you get a bearing change at 235?
We're gonna nav, so in order to get to the next waypoints, is it gonna be a valley? Is that what
We're gonna follow the valley. I'll zoom in a little bit.
okay.
So you want to head down here. We're gonna follow this valley curve this way.
Okay, great.
I divide it into a few different legs with different bearings.
Roger.
So another great question on Nautilus Live is just asking, how do we estimate when this alluvial fan-like feature might have formed? And that's actually something the scientists ashore hope to estimate using this video data that we're taking. When we talk about a visual geotransect, that means that we're using visual data, so this video that we've taken, along a transect, which basically means a set course across terrain, and for the purposes in this case of studying geology. And what I believe the scientists ashore will be doing is trying to use computer algorithms to look at this video data to estimate the